And she also then has to leave Germany, and she goes as an emigre scientist to live in Sweden, while Otto and Strassmann get on with their wonderful experiments, and she receives news of them through letters. Fast forward 4 months, no, quite a few months, till October the 25th. Dear Lisa, despite dreadful weariness, I want to answer your letter. Toward the end of last week, a new paper by Curie and Savage about the 3.5-hour substance appeared. We are now working on reproducing the experiments, and we do now believe in its existence. According to Curie's results, we have found the substance perhaps even better than Curie and Savage. The properties do in fact appear to be remarkable, but we have still to identify it. Perhaps a radium isotope has something to do with it. I tell you this only with great caution and in confidence. A great pity you are not here with us to clear up the exciting Curie activity. 1st of November. Dear Otto, how are your experiments going? I hope, Hanschen, after 30 years of work and friendship in this institute, that at least the possibility remains that you tell me as much as you can about what is happening there. Love, Lisa. 2nd November. Dear Lisa, I am certainly not keeping secrets from you about work or institute matters. We really could not say anything definite about the 3.5-hour substance in 2 weeks, despite working day and night when Curie had been at it for 1.5 years. We are now almost convinced that we are dealing with several, or 2 or 3 radium isotopes which decay to actinium. Perhaps we can feel sure enough by Sunday so that on Monday we can write a letter to Naturwissenschaften, because the finding of radium, probably by way of an alpha-emitting thorium, perhaps also capable of being enhanced, is so interesting and probable that we should publish it before Curie gets to it, before she hears it from anyone else. Love, Otto. On the 13th of November, Lisa stood in Copenhagen Central Station, hugging herself against the wind that whipped down the platform. It was barely 7 and not yet light, and there were only 2 or 3 other people waiting for the express train from Berlin. Niels Bohr had managed to organise her permit to come to Copenhagen when Otto was visiting, ostensibly to give a lecture. Lisa's wearing the shawl, hat and thick underwear that Marguerite Bohr had given her, but the cold inside her, the shivering, wasn't because of the wind. Yesterday, Bohr had passed the paper to her and translated from Danish that Jewish property had been destroyed all over Germany and the former Austria, synagogues ransacked, shop windows broken, people had been attacked, arrested. All morning, Lisa had tried to phone her sister in Vienna, but the operator had not been able to put her through. And that afternoon, she hadn't gone to the colloquium at the university, but instead walked round Copenhagen till she was lost in the back streets, and then returned to Bohr's to find a telegram from her sister saying that her husband Jutz had been arrested and sent to Dachau. Otto's train drew into the platform. The carriage was packed, and Lisa strained to see him as the passengers brushed past her. Finally, there he was, with his wonderfully familiar moustache under his brown trilby. He looked tired and worn as he shielded his face from the wind. They hugged, her head against his coat. Lisa, Otto said, pulling back from her, you're a bag of bones. 4 months, it's been 4 months. They hurried to Otto's hotel, where they took breakfast in the dining room. Otto picked at his napkin and then put it down again. You've heard, haven't you, what's happened? Of course. And you've heard from Gusti. I was in Vienna to speak to Matuk. I saw them on the 9th and they both look well. Then I took the overnight train to Berlin. Gusti sent a telegram about it yesterday, Otto said. Did you not see any of it? Not till I arrived in Berlin and I was going to Dahlem on the tram. You have to do something, Otto. What? What can I do? Speak to someone. Try to get him released. Lisa, Otto said, it's hard enough keeping Strassmann in the institute when neither of us are party members. What else am I supposed to do? You and Strassmann are fine, Lisa said. She picked up her cup, spilling the tea onto the white tablecloth. She dabbed it and then left the napkin over the stain. Why aren't you doing anything? Why aren't any of you doing anything? Lisa, please, Otto said, lowering his voice. I've come all this way to see you when Edith is in the sanatorium again and my son has been conscripted to the Nazi Youth League. I know, I'm sorry, she said. dabbing at the stain again. I'll speak to Friedrich von Weizsäcker. Maybe his father, the Baron, will be able to intervene. Thank you. They both stared out the window at people bent against the wind and the news vendor across the street, holding up copies of the Daily. Lisa reached across the table and grasped Otto's hand. Please, she said, please speak to Weizsäcker. He gave her hand a squeeze. I will. Now let me cheer you up and tell you about the radium results. He poured her some more tea and went over his and Strassman's experiments and how they'd even taken to sleeping in the laboratory. I just don't understand, Lisa said, how uranium's decay to radium is enhanced when it's bombarded by slow neutrons. Everything we have done has shown that slow neutrons are captured by the nucleus. You need fast neutrons to chip off an alpha particle. I don't know, but that's what the results were. If only you were here with us still, Lisa, and it was like it used to be. Lisa poured herself another cup of tea. If only, she said. Later, when Otto was about to board his train, Lisa grasped hold of his hand. Repeat the experiments. Test for radium again. 19th of December, 1938. Dear Lisa, we are working on uranium substances. It is now practically 11 o'clock at night. Strassman will be coming back at 11:45 so I can get home at long last. The thing is, there is something so odd about the radium isotopes that for a moment we don't want to tell anyone but you. The half-lives of the three isotopes are pretty well determined. They can be separated from all the elements except barium. All processes are correct, except for one, unless there are some very weird accidental circumstances involved. Fractionalization doesn't work. Our radium isotopes behave like barium. Now, last week, I fractionated DHX on the first floor. Then on Saturday, Strassman and I fractionated our radium isotopes with mesothorium as indicator. The mesothorium became enriched, but radium did not. It could still be an extremely strange coincidence, but we are coming steadily closer to the frightful conclusion. Our radium isotopes do not act like radium at all, but like barium. I've agreed with Strassman that for now we shall tell only you. Perhaps you can come up with some sort of fantastic explanation. We know ourselves that it can't actually burst apart into barium, but we must clear it up. So please think about it, whether there is anything possible. Yours, Otto. 21st December. Dear Otto, your radium results are very startling. A reaction with slow neutrons that supposedly leads to barium? At the moment, the assumption of such a thoroughgoing breakup seems very difficult to me. But in nuclear physics, we have experienced so many surprises that one cannot unconditionally say it is impossible. On December 23rd, Lisa travelled to Kungalv, where she was meeting her nephew, Otto Robert Frisch. In the hotel foyer, Lisa waited for him in an armchair, smoking and rereading Otto's letter. It was a cosy hotel, with wooden beams and a large log fire. Outside the window, the grounds were thick with snow, rising to peak hills in the distance, and beyond them, the grey sea. She felt the ink on the letter where it had blotted. She could see him at his desk, writing these words, while dashing back and forth to the apparatus, leaving the pen nib resting on the paper.